Welcome everybody to our episode number 18 of Berry Talks, the conversations with leading global players of the berry industry. My name is Thomas Drahorad. I'm the editor of Italian Berry and CEO of NCX Drahorad. I would like to welcome also my colleagues Siham from Green Smile. Good morning, Siham.
Good morning, Thomas. Good
And of
morning,
course,
everybody.
Jorge Duarte of Hotitool Consulting.
Everybody, good morning. Nice to see you again on a new episode. It's very nice to be here again.
As you can see from our screens, today we have a very special guest, Hans Liekens, who is joining us in this conversation. Jorge, I let you introduce Hans this morning.
Yes, we have a new guest and also a guest that already is repeating with us. Hans, it has been is now the global head of innovation at Planasa, and he started in 2025 January. He has originally come from Belgium and now is based in Spain. Graduated as a commercial engineer from the Vrije Universiteit Brussels. He brings over 30 years of international experience in marketing and sales across major food and agricultural multinationals, where you can include Tropicana and PepsiCo, Campina, Chiquita, Hassing, and most recently, Fall Creek. Throughout his career, Hans has maintained a strong focus on consumer, translating insights into market-driven strategies. Throughout relatively new to the berry industry, when he joined Fall Creek, Hans quickly made an impact by applying his expertise to innovation and industry transformation. As a commercial director of MEA of Fall Creek, and later as one of the key architects and drivers of Sequoia Initiative, he has focused on genetics and building global retail relationships. Now at Planasa, Hans brings his creativity and also strategic mindset to the front of the innovation, aiming to challenge new conventions and cultivate fresh perspectives. Who is Hans Liekens? That's the question now.
Good morning, Hans.
Good morning. Good to hear you.
We have heard from your quick bio that you actually started with the big multinationals in the general food marketing. And you have recently moved into the berry industry. What inspired that transition?
In fact, if I look back to how it started with Hans Liekens as a kid, I was playing football, but besides that, I had two hobbies. It was selling plants and growing plants, or growing plants and selling plants. So my whole life, I was doubting between agriculture and commercial function. So given that my both grandfathers were farmers, it felt like coming home, going back to my heart, going back to my youth. So that inspired me to go back.
And then you decided to study as a commercial engineer. And how did that education shape your approach to innovation and to business development, which has been the focus of your career?
I think the older I get, the more I understand it. So a commercial engineer is in fact a hybrid situation between an economist and a civil engineer. So you are assumed to understand the complete process. What I learned, in fact, the process is more than growing plants alone. In our industry, you also have a value chain and a supply chain. And that's the benefit of being a commercial engineer. So you understand the full 360 degrees behind it. Given that, I think also where I was born and raised was important, because my biggest idols when I was a kid were my grandfathers, and they educated me a couple of very valuable values. It's being down to earth, use your common sense, and keep it simple. And I think all those aspects together makes me right now, together with my education, who I am today.
So how did you look at the berry industry from a perspective of a commercial engineer when you first stepped into the fresh produce business? So you were from the general food marketing industry, and we know how structured they are. How does the fresh produce and the berry industry in particular compare?
If you look to the berry industry in the beginning, it's a very traditional business, and you come from other industries, then you have the impression we are much more driven by finding a product, going to a grower, developing that, develop the product, convince then the consumer, and I think there are opportunities. If you look to other industries, it goes much faster, all these industries. So it's much more brand driven, product development driven, consumer driven. So it was interesting to see the top down and bottom up differences in the industry.
Thank you. We don't hear you. Siham, we don't hear you. No. Still we don't hear you. Okay.
You hear me now?
Yes, yes.
I would like to ask you, in your new role as innovation head of innovation at Planasa, can you please tell us how do you start your day?
I think, like most of you, drinking coffee and going to the toilet. But besides that,
How is a specific day going on for you?
yeah, it's a good question. But if I tell you that last year was 80 days in Belgium, 80 days in Spain, and the rest in an airplane. So I really have no typical day. Every day looks different. But the most important thing during my day is listening to people. And I think this is the key. Yeah? Ideas come from everywhere. And if you talk to people, listen to people, wherever you are, you get a lot of oxygen. So I think during the day, it's mainly to understand people, try to set priorities, which is really a good idea. And then, of course, if you feel a good idea, it's to set the priorities and then try to find believers. I think this is crucial. Whatever you're doing in innovation, it's just an idea, but then translating that in people who really want to bring it to the next level, I think that's the most and important crucial thing.
And how do you balance scientific R&D with market trends and consumer needs? How do you, with your background?
For me, this is the fun part. We organize events, meet and greet, and bringing a breeder together with the supermarkets is kind of bringing together the deaf and the blind in the beginning. So they're looking to each other like, what is he talking about? Or what are his needs? But if you bring them together, people start and they listen to each other. They start understanding and seeing suddenly opportunities they never have seen before. So this gives me a lot of oxygen by seeing people who are open-minded. If they're not open-minded, you never come to the next level. But if they both are open-minded, it's so inspiring to see that people come with new ideas. But if that's what you need, I have this in the pipeline. So this gives me a lot of oxygen.
Thank you.
Great. Hans, that's been quite a ride since you've be part of the berry industry, right? So lately you had been associated with important platform, and now you transit to R&D and innovation role. In your opinion, what do you think the future holds for the berry industry in terms of product development and customer experience?
Yeah, Jorge, you know, I'm already 7 years or something, or 8, whatever, in the blueberry industry, and what I've seen and what we have seen, I think, in the blueberry industry was a kind of spectacular thing. It boomed, and it keeps on growing. But if I today look to the other 4 categories, I think they are doing really impressive as well. If you look to, I've seen last week's strawberry, which are really suitable for snacking. I've seen really tasteful. I tasted tasteful strawberries, which can be positioned as premium. Of course, what we miss is the link with the consumer. If you put them in a row with other strawberries, you never find them back. So I think also they're bringing every player together in the value chain and say, listen, this is a premium strawberry. It can create a market for the consumer and for us. If I look to other genetics, I think blackberries are on the edge of cracking the code. What I've seen as the new blackberry genetics, I'm surprised in taste. I'm surprised in look. It can be the next big thing. And don't forget the raspberries. Talking to supermarkets, the most heard request from them is, please give me consistent quality and consistency all year round. It's on its way. So I truly believe the future for the berry category as a whole looks really bright.
Okay. From this 7 years and also this recent role, I'm sure you talk with a lot of people, and also you have information about the other berries that you were not involved in the past. But from your perspective, what you learn from your experience and what you see now, being a trend or not, what makes a berry variety commercially successful, in your opinion?
I think it's an easy question, but we have to see how we validate it and how you approach it, which is the angle. And I think that's even more important from where you look to it. For me, it's simple. It starts with the consumer. Find a berry with the consumer want to eat, taste. Secondly, if you go in the value chain, it has to be a variety which a supermarket want to sell, no waste. And if those 2 boxes are ticked, it has to be a variety which a grower want to grow, high yield. But I think they are all linked to each other, and the order is what you have to have. So if you do it the other way around, and you have a high yielding variety, but it is shit soft and nobody likes it, you never get through the value chain. So I think this is an important cascade. And second to that, I think we have to dare as industry and supermarkets, I invite them to look to best practice in other countries. If you see in some countries that a premium segment works, it might be a wise idea, or you see that they focus on meal occasions. It might be wise to focus on that as well, or to do at least a trial. And coming from the fast-moving consumer goods industry, I'm really the opportunity is there. If the berry category should be managed as a fast-moving consumer good, that is background noise from somebody. If the berry category should be managed as a fast-moving consumer category, we should have at least for each consumer moment, meal occasion, at least 3 products. If you look to the shampoos, if you look to whatever food, we should have in every category meal occasion, let's say for snacking or breakfast, you should have by definition a premium or branded product as a value for money. And in that range also an organic. So that's I think the big opportunity and the big picture which we have for our industry.
You spoke about a cascade of players within the industry and the value chain. What's your approach when developing a new product or brand from scratch? What factors do you have to take into consideration nowadays?
Yeah, like I just stated, I think in the past, the traditional breeding and the traditional chain was you develop a variety, you go to a grower, you test them in the field, and the grower then say, okay, it works, I have yield, and then you go to the supermarket, you hope you can convince them, and then you hope the consumer likes it. How I see it today, the world is changing. If you start with the consumer, it might be an idea I call it speed marketing or speed launching. You have speed breeding. But if you go then to influencers and key people, like top chefs or influencers, and you let them try a new genetic. You start small scale, but they make a lot of noise, so they can create a pull for the variety, which might be, according to me, given social media power, a lot of opportunities. If you see influencers and top chef, they have 10 to 100,000 followers, so they can spread it really pretty fast in giving a platform to new genetics.
Yeah, influencers have a big role in the success of a product nowadays, but I think that on the side of the producers and the breeders, you still have to ensure that your product, your innovation remains both consumer relevant and commercial viable. How is your point of view on that topic?
Yeah, good question, Thomas. And the world is getting more complex there. In the past, yeah, you have to think about the grower and the consumer, but today you have also to think about the environment, sustainability. I can tell you all our genetics we develop right now have the focus to have a lower water consumption, which is important as well. We are thinking and checking how resistant is the plant for diseases. So lower pesticides, lower herbicides. So the development is really a full basket of parameters, and the art is to make prioritization. Where should we focus on? Imagine you have a perfect tasting raspberry, but it has no yield, it will not fly. So this balance is crucial. At the other side, I'm inspired by the guys of Oshi strawberries. If you see them and you sell strawberries at 70, 80 euro a kilo, there is room for a lower yield. So, but you have to understand again all parameters, and that's what I like about it. But it's a complex thing, and finding the balance is really a priority setting choice. If not, you never launch a variety, because the ideal variety will not come. But it's making this compromise and to see does it make sense for all players in the value chain?
Yes, and we also speak about a berry category, which is not as consistent as we would think. I mean, there is strawberries, which are well-established, big consumption, worldwide known, and then there are blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries, you mentioned, which is probably still very, very small compared to its potential. So where do you see the most excitement in renewing maybe a well-established category or in launching something completely new?
Again, it's a more complex answer because every category is different. Renewing is easy in strawberries and raspberries because it's short period. But I see in blackberries, if you plant it for 15 years, it's for a grower hard to pull out an old blue crop and replant it, wait 3 years. So I should make there the distinction between blueberries and the others maybe. What you see, first maybe blueberries. If you look to blueberries, supermarkets are very clear, guys. We need new genetics in Europe now because consumers, the standard quality level is raised by Peru, Morocco, Mexico globally. We need the same quality level in the summer, but then a grower has to replant, a business model, difficult. So they will get a lot of pressure from the market. Or you come with a new variety, or your fruit will go to processing, punto. That's for Central Europe, local production. If you look then to raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, I think strawberries, new genetics are coming, and I think segmentation will give a lot of room there. And I gave the example of Oshi. There is room, I think, for a premium market. Make it distinctive in a supermarket. If I go to a supermarket and I have to count on luck, I have good strawberries. That's not a strategy, guys. Make it. It has to be on my shopper list when I go to the supermarket. Take that bucket because that's what I want to pay double the price for. I think that will happen in strawberries. If you then go to raspberry and blacks, I think there will come a lot of new genetics there. We'll really create a market. Blackberries, the potential is huge if you really come closer to what the consumer wants to have, and not again the sour, moldy experience now and then, which was blueberries, by the way, 7 years ago as well. So there are really huge opportunities in that segment as well.
Thank you.
So I just realized if I'm just talk faster, so sorry for that.
I would like to ask you some questions about your personal assets and philosophy. And we know that your motto is listening is gold and talking is silver, right?
Yeah, yeah,
How does it shape your leadership style?
yeah. I'm maybe giving the wrong example, but I'm a strong believer of simple things. If you if a sales guy or whoever just talks, how can you know what the other wants? So just listen to each other needs and opportunities, and I think it will make life simpler. If you know what somebody wants, you can give an answer which is an answer of the question and the need. But if you don't listen to each other, I think it's very hard to go to the next level. And by doing so, and I think you're all examples of that. For me personally, by helping each other, listening to each other, you build up a network. You build up a network of friends, and you can call them, "Hey, Thomas, can you help me there?" But it works in the two directions. I think this is really, personally, I think something important for my leadership style.
Uh, what motivates you in keeping challenging the status quo after more than 3 decades in the industry?
It feels like I'm getting old after 3 decades. But, yeah, I think time flies when you're having fun. Sometimes people ask me, "How long do you still want to work?" I say, "As long as I'm having fun," and I'm still having fun. It's good to see young people who are really excited, who have a lot of energy, and who are ready to jump. So I really love the new generation people coming and they say, "Wow, I want to bring this to the next level." So this gives me really, this inspires me, and therefore I wake up every morning like say, "Okay, let's go." So I do not feel the stress yet to start counting down until I'm retired.
Thank you.
Well, Hans, pretty much you synthesize everything you have been doing in a lot of these questions, but blending all what you said and between the knowledge you brought from commercial part, from the development of a platform, creating a brand, what you hope to achieve at Planasa in the next few years?
Nice question, Jorge. I believe we as planners have to become an enabler of innovation, and you can help me with that. I'll explain you how. So, what we're gonna do and what we want to do is to invite startup companies in mechanization, robotization, new growing techniques. We want to invite them in our showroom, in our demo fields, to test their equipment with our genetics, to bring breeders together with machine developers. Only so, I think you can speed up breeding and mechanical harvesting and variety development. If you bring them together and a machine developer see new genetics in your field, say, "Hey, but this is interesting. If I adapt my mechanical harvesting like this," or you have to develop a variety with a V shape, whatever shape. So if you bring all these knowledge together, I think you will speed up the industry as a whole, not only the genetics. Also there, again, talking about sustainability, using less water, pesticides, herbicides. So this has to be really the center of Planasa, bringing this together, sharing this with people who want to achieve something. And so, Gorky, coming back on my invitation to you and your friends, if you know companies or if people are listening right and say, "Fuck, I developed a whatever harvester or a machine which helps the industry," call me and be our guest.
That's pretty much leads to the question I have next. You want to pick up the network that you already created, but also your network has, and try to bring it startup companies, new things that are showing up in the market to blend what you want to achieve and try to see if it fits in the directions that you have chosen. So if you have to give a piece of advice to these young professionals that have an idea, what would be your advice to them?
For young professionals, follow your heart. I think only if you're passionate you can be successful. I have three advices, to be honest, if that's allowed. So the second for me is listen to people who want to share, because they can give you the spark or the oxygen really to go to the next level. And the third, and I think maybe not the least, is do not be afraid to think out of the box. There will be enough people who want to put you back in the box. And that's it.
Thank you very much for the answers. You try to keep it simple.
Thank you, George. I think it's been very interesting. You helped us to look at what's coming next. I mean, there is a new generation of people, of consumers, of influencers, of varieties of products, and it's all coming. And we all, as part of this industry, have to acknowledge that the world is not the same as it was 5 or 10 years ago. And there is a lot which will come, a lot of potential on all products. And I think that you have highlighted very precisely that all the main four products in the berry category have their own potential to be developed in the next years. And games are not set, and we are all invited to keep pushing forward and looking at the new generation, looking at innovation, and in particular, like you were saying, in the cooperation between the different parts of the value chain. And I think meetings like this, or when we meet in person at events and things like that, they all bring big value, because we should remember that we have the privilege of working in an industry which is a high value industry and high growth, and we really need to give our best in order to make this work also in the future.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Hans.
Yeah. Just to wrap up, also, Hans, it has been a privilege to meet you in the last years in this industry. I've seen you throughout the eyes of an spectator. Also, we have the chance to chat a few times together and share our opinions about certain things, and that makes you, as you said in the beginning, listen, right? Listen is gold, and this is a key point. That's why it's important to have leaderships like you to listen also the other voices that are in different layers of the spectrum, and help you to find out where is the gold path should be closer to the vision of not only your leadership but also from the company. So for that, thank you for accepting our invitation, and it's always a very nice moment to have you here. I want to thank my colleagues, Thomas, Siham. We have this year started more or less in the middle of the year, after the third semester, but we have a new logo, a new image, and also we have the podcast. It's already in Spotify, so please, our viewers and also the enthusiastic of this industry, follow us in our LinkedIn's and to our platforms, and listen to our Spotify channel, where you can, in the middle of the traffic, where you're bored and you want to be informed, you can listen to us and listen to people like Hans to bring you the insights of the industry. So for that, keep connected with us, the conversations with leading global players, and with the Berry Talks. Thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.